Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the third episode of the Forward Pass Pod. This is Charlie Mill. I'm here with Sam Perry, who's in Austin, Texas, Luke Duska in Elon, North Carolina, and Caleb Archer in Mercer, Georgia. I'm in Indiana, Pennsylvania. What a day we had yesterday. Started out with a dogfight in Ireland, a close call from Sam's UNLV squad, him and Dan
We
Mullen's
had a State of
squad.
the Union inbound.
Um, we got, and then we had a Hawaii Stanford instant classic that I cannot wait to get into. We're gonna do a bunch of week one previews. We're gonna hit games you're not even thinking about right now. We're gonna have a good time here. And so for the start, I really want to kick it to Sam Perry, and he's gonna talk about the Kansas State, Iowa State knockout, drag out UFC 7 round fight in the rain.
The Aer Lingus Classic.
It was definitely a game. I'll leave it at that. It was a game. The first thing that kind of bothered me about that game was, like last year, the Florida State Georgia Tech game, you had Joe Test calling the game, bringing a lot of juice. I kind of missed that with Posh. I don't think he was great, but that's just my personal preference. Anyway, the rain obviously caused problems at the beginning, but like outside of that, if you're Kansas or Baylor or any of those like middling Big 12 teams, like it is so wide open. I think that's the number one takeaway of that game because I mean, I don't know what did you guys think anyone stood out in that game?
In a bad way, I think Avery Johnson stood out because he still has not learned how to have good fundamentals or technique to throw the football. And also I think you learned that Kansas State really, I don't think they understand how to utilize him the best. I mean, he had like 2 runs first half, like, and then like only like he didn't have just a disaster for Kansas State across the pond.
Like also like you have 4th and 1 in your own territory, going for it's fine. You watch the tush push being executed constantly, and it's literally unstoppable. When you have Avery Johnson, who's a specimen, pause. Um, like why don't just fucking tush like just go forward? And they do that like delay handoff. Their play calling was atrocious. I think that killed them down the stretch. Not as bad as the toss play on the one, but I just think Avery Johnson is just. We joked on the phone yesterday, like he just looks like he can't walk and chew gum at the same time. Like the football is just like an object with him when he's running. But I mean, good for Iowa State. It's a good first win. Now, I think a big question for Kansas State is where do you go from here? Like you have high expectations going into the season. I picked them to go to the Big 12 championship game. Now you're not necessarily out of it, but you have to. This is where you have a big gut check in the locker room. Really demoralizing week one loss in Ireland. So you got to rally the troops, get back into it. But yeah, just disappointing across the board from that game, but it's okay. And then another funny part was how about the call from Vegas at the end of the game when they scored the touchdown to hit the over and then reverse, take the knee. Arch, I think you have a statement about that.
Yeah, I mean, truly, there's probably nothing worse than before they like show back to the actual field and the announcer like, oh, they're in victory formation, and you're just like, oh, all right. So you just had to watch 2 minutes go by as they needed out. I mean, it's a smart move, but like obviously, like just a horrendous way to start the first game of week 0 for the like set the tone for the season. Just a horrendous beat, but
Did you
we
guys
move.
also think there was going to be college game day yesterday?
Yes, I did.
I woke up and I
I
turned
turned
on
it
the
on
TV.
waiting for game day. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then it was
I
just
think they're
Reese
just trying
Davis
to
with
really
EJ
pump up
Manuel.
Lee Corso's best last show.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
Charlie, if you want to get into the other games.
Yeah, well, I guess Matt, that was a Matt Campbell win. Like he does that all the time. Big win. Rocco Becht, I didn't think he looked that bad. First half wasn't very good. Um, I thought he was decent.
I'd also
Ex-
add, I mean, it's the first game of the season
yeah,
across
Yeah,
the pond. There's a lot of external factors that are going to prevent teams from operating at the best level they can. I thought Iowa State looked a lot better in the second half. They ran the ball a lot more effectively, and they had some big conversions on that 4 minute drive at the end of the game. I was kind of impressed with them in the second half, and I mean, I've those first game, those are just first things that happened in the first game, first half of the season that you can kind of get over and grow from, and or to be expected.
And Hansen and the Iowa State running back, that Hansen kid, like he ran the rock that second half. I was impressed
Yeah.
with that. I was super
Yeah,
impressed with
really.
that.
Did you
So
see
Like Chicago a little bit.
Iowa State went 14P at some point in the game?
yeah, awesome. Matt Campbell.
Yeah. That's real
Um,
man's football right
yeah,
there.
yeah, that really is. I also thought I was pretty impressed with that with the Iowa State receivers also. Um, so I'm gonna get into we'll get into Sam's UNLV State of the Union address, but the reason I love college football so much is the Hawaii Stanford game. And I loved every part of that game. So let me give you a couple storylines. First off, Makai Alejado, the quarterback,
Or
playing on one leg, limping around, lefty, 5'8", 5'10", 180 pounds from Bishop Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas.
Yeah, Gorman.
Literally hobbling around, throwing seed after seed. Um, Jackson Harris, Stanford transfer, made a couple huge plays for Hawaii down the stretch. And he had a touchdown. So I felt that's pretty cool for that kid. The fact that you transfer away from Stanford and then game one you give him hell. And then the kicker who won the game for Hawaii, Kanzai Matsuzawa from Tokyo. He was on vacation in the US when he saw an NFL game. He returned home and taught himself how to place kick via YouTube. He barely spoke any English, convinced Hawking College, a JUCO in Central Ohio, to take him. And now he's the starting kicker for the Rainbow Warriors. Won them a huge non-conference game. I love seeing all the Hawaii coaches with the lei. I don't know if people know this, but I used to live in Hawaii, so I had a little bit of pride for the Rainbow Warriors myself. Um, yeah, I thought it was wonderful. Micah Alejado, like, shout out that kid. He was a gamer. Like, his linemen are like pushing him into the huddle, like the Matt Stafford 2-minute drive, like that Lions clip from like 2011. Like, Alejado did that. So I'd love to shake that kid's hand. It was wonderful to watch. Lefty also, lefty. So.
baller. There's no one that's more of a Frank Reich appreciator than me, but I don't know. There's something about him and the Stanford fit. It kind of just seems a little out of place. They looked really sloppy on some of those third downs. I want to bounce this take off of you guys. I think Stanford, out of all the teams that left the Pac-12 and went to bigger conferences, I think they're by far the most out of place out of all of those teams, Cal, USC, UCLA, all Washington, Oregon. I think Stanford, if there were one team on the West Coast that should only play West Coast teams in conference, I think it's Stanford, and they just seem so out of place and like they're not ready to be at the same level as those other ACC teams.
Their athletes looked worse than Hawaii's. Like
Yeah.
when Hawaii's receivers looked awesome, like big, lengthy. Their DBs were like 6'2". You had they had a couple Hawaiian guys with the hair hanging out, like, and you're like, oh wow, Hawaii's looks like they got athletes. In Stanford, obviously their defensive line looked good. They're usually can like rely on that, but man, they looked outnumbered on the perimeter and in at running back. Actually, no, their running back was awesome. That was Micah Ford. He was really good. But pretty much everywhere else, I was like, this is not. That quarterback was not. No, I didn't like watching him that much.
Cole
So
Branson?
yeah, I didn't love his game.
Just
So,
terrible.
but Duska, I agree. Stanford, and then it'll just rotate between like Stanford and Cal, like who's
Cal,
the
yeah.
bottom of the barrel, because Cal actually had a role in like last year for a sec. Um,
Yeah.
I just think like I mean we got to give Frank Wright time. I do think like
I'll
in,
give Andrew Luck time too.
in
Yeah, I
three
trust
years
that
in
duo.
3 years
The
like
issue
we'll see.
Well, Frank Reich's only there for 1 year.
Yeah, the issue
Yeah,
with
he's
both
the interim. Yeah.
the issue with both of those schools you said is just that there's too much like uncertainty and just like unorganization, and like at Cal you have Ron Rivera, who's basically the GM, which is their GM, but he's like their head coach now because he makes the decisions over Wilcox, who is a guy that's proven to like be a great coach.
Yeah.
And then at Stanford, you fired your old coach because he was too tough on the players. Like it was like an internal investigation thing. Which year 3 for Troy Taylor was always going to be like this was going to be the year. And as soon as he got fired, you saw like a mass exodus leave. Like there's just too much just volatility and just like no, I don't know what I would describe it at, but the culture, there's both of those schools. I think them moving to the ACC put this like a lot of pressure, and they want to like go like it's like they're like trying to do like a money ball type of thing where they're trying to like go outside the box because they don't have the athletes like the other ACC schools do, and I think that's only going to hurt them moving forward. So I hope that they figure that out and not be so dreadful because Stanford was putrid to watch on offense, especially passing the football. I just saw a stat. They had the worst EPA per dropback of the last 2 seasons in this game. And they were – so in game 1 of week 0, they'd already broken the record for last year, which was Southern Miss. They had like minus 0.25, and Stanford had a minus 0.38 EPA per dropback yesterday. You can't win.
That was pretty evident.
Yeah, and you put the ball in the quarterback's hand. He threw a pick on a flat route. Like how? Like it's just mind-boggling stuff. But I mean,
props to Hawaii though. That's a big win.
That was a good win.
Shout out the Rainbow Warriors. And with
first ever win against a Power 5 team.
I love that. I love that for them. And with that, we're gonna kick it to Sam, President Sam Perry of the UNLV Running Rebels. What do you have to say about your program?
First off, I need to address our viewership. The viewers, I feel bad, but it's going to be okay. Many of you probably didn't get to watch UNLV, and you're lucky that you didn't because it was bad. They played Idaho State in a dogfight as, 30-point favorites, 27-point favorites. Just to give a little recap, they were down at half, 17-14, stormed back. And then Alex Orji capped off an 11-yard touchdown run for them to go up. I'm terrified. I'm not taking it back, but Idaho State is bad, really, really bad. And obviously you're going to have some, like what Luke said earlier, like you're going to have some issues in that first game, especially with this new regime. But the fact like they're bouncing around with quarterbacks, I think a good thing to take away from that game was Calandra did not turn the ball over.
I thought he was good. I actually thought he was good.
Yeah.
I thought he actually played like really good. It was weird.
I thought Calandra was really good.
So I think going forward, like you win the game. I look at this a little bit like South Carolina's game last year, week 1 to Old Dominion when they probably should have lost. You just take the win, go home, and move forward. So we will be fine. Do not worry, everyone. Hold on to your UNLV futures. Do not worry. All will be good.
I do like y'all's running back. Y'all's the running back. I think his last name was Thomas. He was a baller. He had a
10 carries for 147 yards and 3.
Yeah, he's got the breakaway speed you need. So I mean, he's going to be a
so
gamer.
Win those dogfight Mountain West games down the stretch, like we're going to need to do. We're going to need him. So don't worry, UNLV Nation.
Very fluky game.
As America's junior honesty broker, I will say I think UNLV is going to be okay. I think they're going to be just fine. Like that. Sometimes,
do not worry.
Sometimes this happens. I thought it was really evident. Like Alex Orji just probably shouldn't touch the field.
He's so bad.
Like honestly,
the first drive was like.
I think they found out like, hey, because Calandria's got some like shake to him. I was not familiar because I figured like one was a running back and one was a throwing back, but he was actually he could do both. He's a quarterback, so I liked him.
Also, 2 more points in UNLV's defense. One, these Big Sky teams, although Idaho State's not in the upper echelon of the Big Sky, they always have sneaky athletes that they can just recruit because that region, like they just soak up a lot of athletes that would go FBS and other places, say they live on the East Coast. So I think it's encouraging that UNLV, the offense looked pretty solid for the most part.
They had like 600 yards of offense or something.
Yeah, they had
532 total yards.
Yeah, the offense looked pretty effective once they got into a groove. There was a little misfortune in the first quarter. I mean, that's
also like that quarterback was just chucking the ball around. Like it was very fluky.
Yeah, he also played. I mean, UNLV boxed him in the fourth quarter. Like, they came to play. Yeah, and the Duskus point about the Big Sky and about California FCS teams is there are not as many FBS universities out on the West Coast, like from Oregon down to Arizona. So you get ballers that play in the Big Sky. Like for example, like Cam Scadabo like playing for Sac State, and then
Yeah, these guys are close to Mountain West level players.
Yes,
for sure.
yeah.
Also, they get a bunch of transfers. So I'm pretty sure Idaho State's leading receiver like yesterday was an old UNLV guy. So it's like you're gonna get a lot of those G5, maybe like the lower P4 that just want to go and play instead of being a junior that hasn't touched the field yet, which is a completely valid. So like
one more point though. How long would it take for Dan Mullen to get recognized in downtown Vegas? How long would that take?
Guys, don't worry about Army, Navy. Don't worry about anything going on, but how long will it take Dan Mullen to get recognized?
Let's talk about it for like 25 minutes.
Fucking Kubelik.
I think if it's 3 p.m., he gets recognized faster than if it's like 10 p.m. on the Strip.
True. Good point.
Stuff,
good point, Kubelik. Thanks. So with that, we're going to get into a spicy week 1. Everybody's looking forward to this. We've got Texas, Ohio State. Ohio State is a 1.5 point favorite at home, meaning like this thing's a pick 'em. And I would just I'll kind of give what I think about these two football teams. You're getting very similar uncertainty from the quarterback position. Neither have that many starts. I probably nudge Arch Manning in favor. He's had like 4 or 5 starts in his career. I do think both of these defenses are really good, especially Texas's defense. Some of the guys they have, Colin Simmons at edge, Anthony Hill Jr., they might be the two of the best defensive players in the country. And then on the Ohio State side, Caleb Downs is the best defensive player in the country. Michael Taff is back. Jelani McDonald is back at safety. And then you've got corners Malik Muhammad and Jalen Gilbo. They both played a lot of ball for Texas, so they're just a stout defense. I think we were talking about this in the group chat, how we think the Iowa State-Kansas State game might be an eerie foreshadowing for what might happen in Ohio State, Texas, because both these defenses are phenomenal. What say you guys? I guess we'll kick it to Arch first.
I think it'll be a pretty it'll be tough sledding for both of these offenses, like you said. I'm not a huge Texas guy, but I mean Colin Simmons is just he's a special, he's special. So he's going to be really good. I mean, you're going to have him and Downs basically going at it, and that's not even like considering the Anthony Hills, the other guys you mentioned, and some of the guys in Ohio State secondary. And it's going to be a good one. I think I agree with the edge to Texas, but I think it'll be interesting to see how Ohio State handles the quarterback, because they're a guy that lost the battle to Sayan Kindholtz. He's like a running quarterback, and he's a bigger body. So I imagine they'll implement him in the gameplay and still running some of these kind of like wildcat essentially, or just some like power run with the quarterback. So I think that'll be interesting. It'll be a thing that Texas really won't be able to prepare for, in a sense of you can't prepare for personnel when you have no film on the guys like a sophomore. But I think that'll be interesting. I'm expecting a great game. Right now, if I was going to lean one way, I would say I would give Ohio State the edge simply because of the home field. And also I think overall I would give the edge. There's a lot less uncertainty for them, I believe, compared to Texas. But I mean, it's going to be a great game to kick off Saturday of week 1.
Yeah, I agree with the Lincoln Keno thing. I was going to say it's going to be interesting to see how they use him, especially in probably short yard situations, running the ball. Like they can't prepare for him. Another nugget on Keenholz. He, I believe, is the first quarterback at Ohio State to ever win their weight room warrior award. So he's obviously a beast. It's going to be really cool to see that. I'm excited to see Arch Manning, obviously. And I'm also excited to see who emerges from this game. Like, who is the person after the game that everyone's going to be talking about? Is it going to be Arch? Is he the one that steps up? Is Julian Sayin going to make big throws down the stretch? Or is it going to be Jeremiah Smith that takes over? So whoever, I'm really excited to see who is going to be that guy in the game. I'm going to lean Ohio State as well, a little bit more offensive continuity on their end. And I think that is going to be the factor in a 21-17 type of game.
I think there's a few extra fun little storylines sprinkled in here as well. Ohio State's got 2 new coordinators. I'm excited to see how Brian Hartline steps into the offensive coordinator role with play calling. He gets a lot of credit for the Ohio State rise in wide receiver dominance over the last 5 to 10 years. And I'm excited to see him, who he's a Buckeye through and through, to see how he is able to step into that new role and maintain the expected level of production that their offense usually has. I think there's a few fun O-line pieces in this game too. I'll just toss these in real quick.
Yep.
Ohio State is trying to replace a couple NFL guys up front. They have a lot of continuity from their playoff run interior wise with some of the starters returning. They have Luke Montgomery, Austin Searvold, and Carson Hinsman. That interior continuity might play a big factor in this game with Sane starting in his first game. But at tackle, they brought in a transfer from Rice, Ethan Onianwa, who was supposed to slot into the left tackle role, but he's been overtaken by Austin Searvold, and it was pretty surprising because he was expected to be a potential day one, probably day two NFL draft guy. So there's a little uncertainty, I think, at tackle for Ohio State heading into this game, and with an edge rusher like Colin Simmons on the other side, I think that could play a big factor. Same thing can be said for Texas, though. They had obviously they had departures on their offensive line, and they have a freshman, a redshirt freshman right tackle, Brandon Baker, starting his first game in the shoe. I think with the edge departures that Ohio State had from last year, it could be a bit easier game for him to settle into, and he'll be able to give Arch some time to operate. And like we said, like we've all kind of been saying, it's going to be a defensive slog. And I think Texas might have the edge a little bit with all of those things being considered, and maybe like a big Ryan Wingo explosive play kind of makes up the difference, and Texas is able to sneak out with a win.
Yeah, Duska, one thing I want to point out from the defensive line standpoint, Texas kind of got loaded up in the portal this year. They got Travis Shaw from North Carolina, who played with Caleb Curtin at Grimsley. They got Hero Kanu, who was at Ohio State. So he's an Ohio State transfer going to Texas. And then they got a Cole Brevard from Purdue. This is to go along. This is all interior stuff to go along with like having maybe the best edge in the country. Um, and then, like you're saying, with Ohio State kind of mixing and matching O line, new starts, we'll see, new quarterback start as well. I'm actually going to lean Texas here, just because of the strength of the line of scrimmages. I think the defensive lines, if we were like comparing them, I think Texas has a mature and production laden unit, while Ohio State, you lose Jack Sawyer, you lose JT Tuyama Lowell, or however you say that. He's a whatever boy dog.
There's a lot of production to
Yeah,
replace
you
there.
lose a lot
Yeah.
of production there. So I'm actually going to lean Texas. I think it's going to be a really good game. Another thing, going in Texas favors, they got a Cal transfer named Jack Endries. He's a tight end, good player, as well as a Stanford transfer, Emmett Mosley. He was a receiver to go along with DeAndre Moore Jr. and Ryan Wingo, who they already had a receiver and are already very explosive. So what I think, whatever, I'm also kind of high on Arch, so we'll see what ends up happening with that. Anybody?
I think Arch.
Where
Go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Sam.
No, I was just gonna say I'm interested to see where the public is going to be on this game, like betting wise. I mean, like I'm just interested to see where a lot of the money's going to come in on. I predict Texas just because of like people are going to bet on Texas, but I'm just excited to see where the
I just
public
think Arch
wants.
is going to have a little more poise. I mean, he's played big snaps in those playoff games. I think he's just going to be a little more like built for this moment, like that Manning poise. He's probably a little more talented than
Dude, I
saying
think like you can't
anyway.
throw picks in this game.
Yeah,
Like you just can't
100%.
throw picks. So if you don't
Because
throw
your
picks,
defense is going to be there. So
because like you can get Quintravion Wisner, he can get downhill on Texas. So you could get him going, get the O line going, just punt the football, play good defense, capitalize on red zone opportunities, not turn the
Field
ball over.
position battle will be
Yeah,
massive
exactly.
in the
I'll say
second half.
one player to look out for, I think, because if Ohio State does end up winning this game, you're probably going to point to like Jeremiah Smith. I just want to put like a name on the radar that some people probably know. Max Clare. He's Ohio State's tight
Oh
end.
yeah,
He's a
from
Purdue
Purdue,
transfer.
right? Yeah, yeah.
And Texas had an issue guarding tight ends last year. Tight ends, there would be a mismatch because on some of their safeties, they were too big. And their linebackers, if you put Anthony Hill in the tight end, you're losing him as the field general in the middle of the field that actually is going to like control and be the like the general of the defense. Like Georgia, I know they had a lot of success. Like Oscar Delp, Austin Lucky, and Ben Urasek last year. We had a lot of success against Texas. And Max Clare was a shine at Purdue, and that was kind of impossible to do last year because they were dreadful. So if he can do it there, imagine what he can do with 10 other guys around him that are all going to be ballers.
Yeah.
So I think if it's going to be one guy you look back at after the game, I think Max Clare could be one of those guys that, and also be a safety valve for new starter Julian Sand. He's going to be a guy that should be open a lot, and I think that'll be someone that you don't know right now that could definitely sway in Ohio State's favor.
Could that
Yeah,
be
I have a note on
forward
Claire.
pass best bet, Arch?
Hmm?
The forward pass best bet.
Oh
Back
yeah,
anytime.
yeah. Might take him first touchdown.
Like you were saying, Arch, the Purdue Boilermakers last year, absolutely putrid, and he was their most productive player by far. He had 51 catches for 685 yards. So being able to do that on the Purdue squad from last year, I mean, that bodes well for him being in
That's like
Ohio State with all
2000.
the
That's like
weapons they have.
2000 anywhere else.
Yeah.
It's pretty inflation. You gotta.
Yeah, true.
Just multiply everything by 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least.
So with that, we're gonna move on to our next game. We got LSU Clemson in Death Valley. We're gonna have friend of the pod, Esai Morse, boots on ground at Clemson. Does anybody want to take a swing at this game first, or do you want me to kind of lay it out there before we start taking bites out of it?
I'll take a swing.
Take a swing at it. Oh, okay.
Do you want me to take a swing, or you want to take a bite?
No, you take a swing.
Take a swing.
Then I'm on deck. I'm on deck. I'm fine.
Okay.
You don't
I mean, there's a pretty funny potential storyline that would come about at the result of this game if LSU ends up dropping it again. And I ultimately think they will. I think this is a tough spot for LSU. They had to replace a lot on the offensive line. They lost 4 NFL players from that front from last year. So they're replacing it with a couple transfers, a couple guys, especially at the tackle spot, Tyree Adams and Weston Davis, making their 3rd career for Adams and 1st career start on the road at Clemson, at edge, going up against probably, if not the best edge, one of the best edges in the country with TJ Parker for Clemson. So I think that's a really tough spot for this LSU O-line to start out the season. And I think that could potentially end up hurting their ability to run the football too, with Nussmeier being able to get into rhythm. We've talked about Clemson before. They have so much returning production from last year. They're battle tested. They played in big games. They haven't necessarily won the big games they've been in, but they've been in these spots before. And I think with all of the experience that they've carried over from those, that this is kind of where they plant their flag in the ground and make it known that they're a national title contender this year. And I think they roll LSU in this game and win by at least 2 scores.
Yeah, I kind of, again, I gave my bullish case on Clemson last 2 weeks ago. Like I love Clemson, but I'm gonna give you like my kind of breakdown of the LSU roster. You've got Garrett Nussmeier. You're hoping like the turnovers get cut in half this year. At receiver, they got Aaron Anderson was the team best, 61 catches, 884 yards last year, and then they backfilled with Barrion Brown, who's kind of like a track stud from Kentucky, like fast kid. He'll probably do some return game stuff, and then Oklahoma transfer Nick Anderson, who did not play last year due to injury. Tyree Adams takes over at left tackle. Is that the guy with 0 starts or?
He started 2 games last year.
2 games.
One of them being the bowl game. So not huge spots.
I do think the interior line will be pretty good. They got Braylon Moore from Virginia Tech, who's probably going to slot in at center, and then DJ Chester will end up moving over to guard. Both of those guys have like a decent amount of starts, I believe. They also hope Harlem Berry, he's one of their 5-star running backs. They kind of need him to pop in the run game. My big question for LSU is I do think like Brian Kelly and Nussmeier together again, they're going to make some shit shake on the offense. My question is defensively. The defensive back room has been a problem for like years on end with Clemson. I mean LSU. They got a Virginia Tech transfer, Mansour Delane. and then a freshman 5-star DJ Pickett, and we'll see what happens. But they did get 2 edge rushers out of the portal, both from the state of Florida. They got Jack Pyburn from Florida, and then they got Patrick Payton from Florida State. So they get 2 edge rushers. Whit Weeks, maybe one of the best interior linebackers in the country at 125 tackles last year. And then Harold Perkins Jr. is, I believe, playing like nickel this year. And he's
star position.
Yeah, so he's playing like the nickel, the spur, the star, whatever you want to call it, the raider, whatever football defensive term you play in. We'll see how he does in coverage, but he is kind of a playmaker. Again, this defense is kind of jerry-rigged together. That's a lot of portal, a lot of freshmen, and a lot of new positions. I mean, we're going against a veteran-laden Clemson O-line and unbelievable Clemson receivers. In my opinion, the best receiving room in the country. You're going to have your hands full. Oh, and by the way, year 3, Cade Klubnik starter with Garrett Riley. So I'm with you, Duska. I think like 10-point win.
Yeah, I'm with both of you guys. I lean Clemson this game. Similar to what you guys were saying, Clemson returns 80% production on both sides of the ball, 85 on offense, 76 on defense. Another cool nugget, they have 229 returning starts, which is big. And kind of like what we were talking about in that Kansas State game, like these week 1 games where the offenses are obviously going to struggle a little bit. The continuity for Clemson, I think, is going to be what sets them apart in this game. It's going to be interesting, though, to see, is LSU going to be able to run the ball? If they can't run the ball, I think this game gets out of hand quickly. Because if Nussmeier gets rattled and starts throwing his like Steve interceptions, like it could get bad. And then where do you go from there? I think this game is much bigger for LSU than it is Clemson. Like the panic meter might rise a little bit in Baton Rouge if they lose. If they lose by like 14 and it's never really a good game, I think that LSU is going to be in for one. But it'll be interesting. If they can run the ball and kind of make their like have a running and passing a lot, like work well on both sides, I think that it'll be close. But I think that Clemson's D line is going to be too much for LSU's young O line. LSU on offense is also losing 4 offensive linemen. Clemson is returning 4 offensive linemen, and LSU's offensive line is brand new. So it's going to be interesting. But yeah, Clemson 31-21.
I like that.
So I think the story of the game for me is going to be that I'm going to be focusing on is if LSU's offensive line can sustain success and like help them sustain drives in pass protection and also run blocking. Like Sam said, if they can't run the ball, like they have 2 talented running backs. Caden Durham is a baller. Harlan Berry, I think he's going to be pretty good. I mean, I've heard good things about him. If they can't run the ball, then it's going to be tough sledding for them. I am going to go in favor of LSU in this game because I think, I said it last week or in our CFB one. I think Clemson. There's a lot of I guess it's like these narratives that have been written that it's very forgetful memory of certain aspects of their season last year. And I thought their defensive line, I think Peter Woods is a sense overrated as a college defensive lineman. He's good at times. He's also Clemson's rushing defense last year was dreadful, and they got pushed around a lot. And I don't see that. They did bring in Tim Allen, which is a great hire for them at D coordinator. Dabo finally got his boys out of the coordinator spots. But I think in this game, if I'm going to go off of just kind of like a gut feeling, I just have a feeling that LSU is going to right their week 1 woes that they've had for the past 4 years. And I think they kind of understand that this is like a do or die moment. I think Clemson does too. But I think it's much bigger of a game for LSU than it is for Clemson, like y'all were saying. So I think I'm going to expect them to come out swinging, and I think I think it'll be a great game anyway. Regardless, like I said, I don't really have a true feel for it, like I'm certain, but I just have a feeling that LSU sneaks this one out. I don't know why, but I just think some of their portal pieces. I do like the guy they brought in from Houston. He's a safety. His name is AJ Halsey. He was like an all Big 12 first team guy, and it was a tough loss for Houston in the post spring portal. And he went to LSU, and I think him year 2 of Blake Baker. Year 1 was pretty bad on off or defense for them. So hopefully
But
they
better. Bad, but better.
Bad, but better than what they somehow had like 2 years ago. So I think I'm expecting a big jump in their defensive production. And like you said, Whit Weeks, I think he'll be a game changer. And I think it'll be interesting to see if Clemson's going to be able to run the ball on them with losing Maffa and also Shipley. So we'll see. But I'm going to go with LSU in this game.
It's crazy how the conference like dynamics play out in this game because you literally have Clemson who, if they lose this game, so what? I mean, obviously, but so what? Like we can go and roll the ACC. LSU's got to play 7 more games like this. Like so, this is just a really tough spot for LSU to have to go to Clemson. That's going to be interesting, just as to springboard you in the season. Because if LSU gets this one, Arch, and you're right about this. I like LSU. Yeah, I really like that. Like this team, that means like, hey, they got something because I think Clemson's really good. With that, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back to discuss Miami Notre Dame. Good work, fellas.
That Ohio State Texas breakdown was really good.
Yeah. It's so hard to talk about this LSU Clemson game, especially on the LSU side, because it's like I'm so certain about nothing in this game.
Dude, the whole defense, and I mean it's all transfers.
Yeah, I do like LSU's receivers. I think, but I did see a funny tweet. Bud Elliott, he guys on CBS. He does like the Cover 3 podcast. He's super knowledgeable. He was saying that Clemson's game plan should just be wherever Harold Perkins is lining up on a receiver, just like actually throw it right at him, because like he's like dude, during the South Carolina game last year, I remember they were like before the game, they're like Harold Perkins is going to be playing star, and I was like, what in the hell? Like why would he be a star? And he did like it's so much easier to take him out of a game when you can literally attack him and like he's not a coverage linebacker. He as a freshman he was an edge rushing like star and in like an actual like, and you just I don't know.
Yeah, I do wonder how that kind of plays out. Like, I do wonder how that plays out in the sense of in the scheme of defense. Like when you have a nickel, and because he becomes like the 4 problem. Like he is the guy that receivers are going to have to block most of the time. Like especially when you come into like bunch sets, like the receivers are going to have to block Harold Perkins, which is probably not going to be is not going to be very not an easy task whatsoever. But also.
He has to cover those receivers.
Once you spread them out, he has to cover them. Now, what you can do things to hide that. Like as a defense, you don't have to play man-to-man with Harold Perkins. But you better have that Houston safety better know how to play man-to-man coverage. Like that puts a lot of pressure on your safeties to go line up at 5 yards of depth and like go cover Barry Brown on a box fade. So, yeah, it does put you in a precarious situation. I wonder how good we haven't seen him like practice though. Like.
Perkins?
He could. If he runs well, which I'm assuming.
He's fast.
Yeah, like if he runs well, dude, if you beat him on a couple slants, like so be it. If you beat him on 20 box fades this year, like that's a huge problem. But if he can like run with those and like protect himself, there's a way to coach that kind of. I don't know. We're getting nerdy, but and dude, again, like the receivers are gonna have to try to block him, which tackles used to have to block him.
Yeah. I just think that the biggest thing is going to be when Clemson rolls out with 4 receivers and it's like Wesco, Williams, I'm forgetting the other guy's name, not Wingo.
More.
And one of them is in the slot and they're looking at Klubnik and it's like Harold Perkins across from him and they're like giving like the thumbs up, like, yeah, let's
Literally this is what he's like, this is gonna be Cade. He's gonna go this. He's gonna be like alert. Fade.
Yo, Cade.
Yeah.
Just like run straight, bro. I'll just we'll figure it out.
Literally, like, you see that guy? Yeah, here you go.
And then if the problem is if LSU realizes that, and they're going to have to bring like safety help and stuff like that, and it's then you're just like you're taking 2 for 1, and it's just like.
Well,
they might just get pounded on the ground too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I think I would love to be like Garrett Riley, kind of like game planning this season.
Yeah.
That's got to be fun. Just being in the war room, like being like, dude, we might just be able to do anything we want.
Yeah.
But it's also
they're just gonna fuck ACC defenses. Like,
yeah.
That start will be big too. Like if Nussmeier throws a pick early,
I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick.
Like, I don't know if they're going to be able to come. Like, if Clemson could just like muck it up at the beginning and just like lull LSU to bed, it could get ugly.
I think like the first quarter is like obviously like no shit, but it's like if LSU starts out like bad first quarter, like this game could get like disgusting.
I kind of hope they just get fucked. It would be so funny.
And then the problem is going to be, and then at that point you're like measuring like the quit meter on LSU because if that happens in like week 1 and you get blown out, your season is basically over. Because then the writing's on the wall
Florida,
for how many
3 weeks after that.
Yeah, they do play Florida in LSU.
Oh, week 3 is that week 3?
Week 3 or 4? I think it's week 3.
Maybe week 4, or is it week 3? Yeah, it's the night game. It's the night game, week 3, I think.
I mean, it's just going to be hard to win 9 games if you lose that one.
Yeah, find me 9 other wins.
Yeah.
Like, you got to go. You still got to play Florida and Bama. How about Pate?
I don't like Brian Kelly football teams either. So
really?
Yeah, no.
How about Pate with Florida and Nebraska in his playoff?
He's absolutely lost it, dude. I'm sick of him.
Mainstream Pate.
Let's do a little like Nebraska. Is anybody else like? Did anybody? I don't know. Is anybody else?
I mean, their schedule is cupcake.
They don't move me. They do not.
They have to beat. I think they have to beat Michigan. If they beat Michigan, they have a good chance.
Gotcha.
Dylan Raiola is not the guy that people think he is, and that's not me hating on him because he committed from Georgia.
Yeah,
he's just not. He's not who people. He's just like, I don't know. I don't know how to like put it into words. It's just something when you watch him. It's just like I don't see it. Because if you're banking on them to make the playoff, you're banking on them to win to lose the 2 games they should, which is Ohio State and somebody else.
Michigan.
I think they might play, and then
they play Penn State. They don't play Ohio State.
Okay,
Penn State, Michigan.
They could lose to like USC easily.
That's what I'm saying. They're banking on them to
what about like Illinois? Illinois
they don't play Illinois.
What about Washington?
I think they play Washington.
Their schedule's
Indiana?
pretty. They play like in the bottom of the Big Ten.
Let me hear. Can you just roll their Big Ten schedule?
Yeah. They start Michigan.
This is why we need an editor to just throw the schedule up on the screen.
Michigan State, Maryland, Minnesota, Northwestern. Then they play USC at home, UCLA on the road, and then at Penn State, and then Iowa at home. Like it's pretty light, but
I still think they lose a couple of those games.
See, you're banking on them to win every game they should, and then to lose like the 2. That's a hell of a gamble with Nebraska, and they're only 6-point dogs or favorites versus Cincinnati. They could lose week 1, and you're just like, oh shit, like,
yeah,
like, and then you're just like, oh, and then Pate. I might pray that happens on Thursday night, so Pate can do some dumbass tweet, and then him and Will Compton can fucking kiss each other, bro. I can't fucking stand that.
Can we leave that in the show?
I will. Yeah, we're gonna keep this. I will say about like the Nebraska stuff, like, I respect the like. Hey, if you look at the schedule, like you just find something different. The Florida one is just like you must think Florida is like actually a top 4 team in the country.
Dude, that's what I texted y'all.
Because you're literally
every fucking SEC team is going like 10-2.
That's more likely than Nebraska, I think, though.
I agree. Sure. But you have to be like Florida's beating every monster they play besides 2. Like they're playing monsters. They're playing LSU, Ole Miss, Bama.
Well, he thinks they're going to beat Texas early. He kind of alludes to that a lot. He's like, people are sleeping on this big game.
What happened? I thought he was on the Oklahoma thing. You can't be on both Oklahoma and Florida because
he is. That's the thing. He thinks that every SEC team is going 9-3. He said, "I'm like, fellas, let's just do the math, Pate. Like, if you like did that schedule, if you say Florida's going to beat Texas, that means Texas has to lose to Florida on your prediction for Texas. Like, you can't be like, I think Florida's going to beat them, and then have Texas 11-1 and only lose to Georgia." Yeah, it's like, what the fuck are you talking?
That's not mathing.
There's no concrete predictions.
No, he's like, I think this guy's good. I think they're, and then he also does. I don't predict what games they're going to lose. That's the fucking skill of it, dude. Like that's how you pick.
You can't make the plan. Like one thing has to happen for another thing to happen.
Oh, if Texas loses at Florida, he's just going to be like, I've been talking about.
You know, I like it. I've been talking about Sark, him and Arch. Like, and you're just like, dude, just like shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Talking out of both sides of his mouth, man.
Yeah.
Alabama staffer tries to.
The only issue with this is when when this podcast blows up and we want to partner with Page, then people are gonna find this segment and
he'll
because
respect it.
we've been
We're
supporting
literally his.
Page since
We're his
actually, yeah, we
biggest
should hold him
fans.
accountable.
We're his biggest fans. So like at the end of the day, I watch all of his
He
content.
He did drop his store. I think I'm gonna buy a shirt. Unfortunately,
That shirt is sick. That shirt is cool.
I mean, he's
the fucking man.
He is the man.
He's
Yeah,
the man, dude.
Hey, if you ever watch this, we're big fans. We want to hold.
We just want what's
You're
best.
welcome on here anytime, Pete.
And you should talk about Army Navy too.
Yes,
Let's
please.
add that
Hey,
in.
can you please talk about Army Navy for once in your life? And also, the Boise G5 is a cheap. Come on, like
have a little pride,
dude. Have a little something.
Dude,
like
go out on a limb for once.
Yeah,
I bet I texted him on the first picks.
Boise.
I think the first and second odds for every team in the conference is going to make it, and I think the first team is going to win. Yeah, like riveting. Great shout, Josh. Great shout, dude.
I really wanted just throw.
How about Oregon in the fucking
USF.
National title? Oregon is going to fucking miss it.
Wait, Oregon's in the Natty in his thing?
Yes, it's all Oregon versus Bama, and I don't even. He has Bama winning, so I don't hate that. I think Bama's damn good.
Damn good.
But
that's sharp.
To say to Oregon, I like Dante Moore.
Yeah.
I went out to practice. Yeah, what is Dan Lanning like? Dude, Dante Moore is he's terrible. What is he gonna do?
When you interview these coaches, they're literally like, I mean, he's Heisman hopeful. They all say they're a Heisman hopeful. You can't all be Heisman hopeful.
Everyone's a Heisman hopeful.
Yeah. Or
John Mateer is also his Heisman.
Yeah.
And then fucking Benjamin Franklin at Penn State.
Wait, how's Mateer is Heisman, but he didn't make Oklahoma didn't make his playoff?
For Mateer to win the Heisman, Oklahoma would
have to make the playoff.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
unless he runs for 2,000 yards, right, Arch?
Running back. No. This dude, I'm telling you, just wait until week 3. They play fucking Temple. Wait till
they play Michigan week 2.
Yeah, and they play Temple week 3 or something like that. And they go to Temple. Just wait till he throws 4 interceptions versus Temple, and the Oklahoma wins by 10 or 15, and everyone's gonna be like, "Where did this?" He was the same fucker last year. They lost to Wyoming as 20-something point favorites because he threw 4 interceptions. They watch his fucking roll out sidearm throw and think that he's the truth, man. And I don't even hate him. I like him as a player. But whenever you have to hate a guy whenever everyone thinks he's gonna be a fucking Heisman contender. You're just dude, he's just not that. He's not that guy that you think that he is. And then it's gonna unfortunately I have to hate him now. So
I get it.
It's not my fault. It's theirs.
Yeah. Yeah, don't blame you. All the credit, none of the blame. That's all we ask for at this podcast as well. We subscribe to that theory. But we'll just keep this rolling.
You want to do Notre Dame, Miami?
We can leave.
We see a lot of you viewers aren't subscribed to the channel.
What up? What'd you say?
I said, speaking of subscribe, we see a lot of you viewers are not subscribed to the channel.
Oh yeah, subscribe to the channel.
That's all we ask is free. Keep this free for you guys.
No, it's actually not free. For you guys, it is. For us, it's not.
What are we doing? Which games are we doing next?
Hey, we're going Miami and Notre Dame. So I guess here's what I'll say about Miami and Notre Dame.
This game.
I do too, Sam. This might be my favorite game, I think. Because I actually think we're going to get a good one here. I think we're going to get some fireworks. I think we're going to get 38, 34. That's what I'm thinking. First off.
For my under ticket, I already have.
Oh, really?
I would hate that.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter about the score. I just think it's going to be an awesome football game.
I agree.
Well, let me just break down each roster, and then I'll let you guys do your predictions. I'm just going to give you the background of the rosters. Okay, we've got Carson Beck and Mark Fletcher, who's 6'2", 225 in the backfield for Miami. I think Carson Beck's going to be real good this year. I wouldn't draft him because of how he cheated on his girlfriend in a public setting, and we've already went through that. Decision making when you're whatever, but I think he's gonna be good. Plus they have Francis Mauigoa at tackle. One of my favorite things in the world are Samoans playing offensive tackle. Whenever I see a Samoan playing offensive tackle, I have high hopes. Anaz Cooper as well on the O-line. They've got a couple of transfers. They've got Jack State transfer, Zachariah Poister. He plays defense. I think he plays corner. And then they've got a D-end. I think it's a Wisconsin D-end transfer they got. I think maybe it's Xavier Lucas. No, Xavier Lucas is a corner. I don't know, whatever. Corey Heatherman from Minnesota. Heatherman produced the number 12 defense in the country last year. I think that's pretty good for Miami. We'll see what happens with Miami. Note on the Notre Dame side of things, Jaden Greathouse, Malachi Fields from UVA transfer, Will Pauling, he's a Wisco transfer, and Jordan Faison, who already been there. So Greathouse and Faison have been there. Great weapons. At linebacker, Jack Kaiser leaves, but they replace him with Jaden Osbury and Derek with a Y, or no, Drake with a Y, Bowen. Drake Bowen, 78 tackles last year. Al Golden out as the offensive coordinator, as the defensive coordinator. He went to the Bengals. They've got Chris Ash, who also coaches safeties, the new defensive coordinator. They lost, Notre Dame lost Benjamin Morrison and Xavier Watts to the NFL. So we'll see what they have in store at the defensive back position. But Aiden Schuler, he is a name to watch. He's a Virginia Tech transfer. We've got a lot of Virginia Tech transfers, by the way, on this pod so far. He plays safety, and they've got Jalen Stroman, who also plays safety. There's like kind of a roster breakdown. What do you guys think happens in this game?
I think that when the game is over, if Miami wins the game, I think it will mean that their defense found a way to bend and hold Notre Dame to field goals, not touchdowns. I'm really excited to see Beck at Miami. I think he's going to shine just playing in the ACC. But I think the key to the game for Miami is going to be, can we get stops in the red zone? Can we hold them to 3? I'm going to go Notre Dame here. I think they're just a little bit more continuity. I'm excited to see CJ Carr as well, but I think Jeremiah Love will get his and Notre Dame will win. But in a really good, exciting game where, like, I think Miami, even if they lose this game, I think they're going to come out like, okay, we're fine. It's okay.
Oh, one more thing about Notre Dame that I can't believe I forgot to mention before I kick it to Duska. O-line depth. Because of the injuries they sustained last year at O-line, they really do have guys who have played snaps. That could be a big deal in game one. Duska, what say you?
I agree with that. I think a lot of returning experience on the Notre Dame line, which there was a little more uncertainty going into last season with some of the injuries they sustained before the season started. And obviously they're able to play a full season national championship run. I think that pays dividends the next year. I also will say though, I love this Miami O-line and think they could be one of the best in the country. You mentioned Maui Goa. I think he's a day one tackle. He's the engine of this offensive line. And then on the other side, this might be the best bookend duo in the country. I don't know if a lot of people are familiar. Number 70 for Miami, Markel Bell. He's 6'9", 350 pounds. And I've gotten to watch a little bit of Miami film from last year, leading up to this game we're playing on Thursday. And he's just a mauler. I think this offensive line is just going to be able to move people around all year. You mentioned Inez Cooper. They also have Matt McCoy returning. And last year they rushed for 5.6 yards per carry. Across the season. I think they could improve on that number, and that's just going to make things easier for Carson Beck. He's going to be able to play in rhythm a lot more play action opportunity there, and I think that's going to pay off. I don't think that the betting favorite's going to win all 3 of these big games this week. I'm going to lean towards the more experienced seasoned quarterback being able to take advantage of the run game advantage that Miami's going to have, I think, in this game, and I think Miami is going to come out on top. Could be a slugfest, like you guys have been saying, and I'm excited for this one.
I'm gonna piggyback off that, like that analysis. I'm gonna go with Miami to win, and I think they're gonna win by 2 scores. I think their defense, with the Minnesota D coordinator coming in, you can't get any worse than you were last year defensively. And you bring in a new scheme, you bring in new players across the board that are familiar with the scheme that he wanted, because they got him in December. So they didn't bring him in like February or March after the portal is already closed. He crafted this defense to be what he wanted. I think it's going to be huge for them. I'm a huge Carson Beck guy. I don't really care what other Georgia fans say. He was not the problem. And if you think that he was, you're just stupid. So I think he's going to light it up in a Shannon Dawson offense with receivers that probably will learn how to catch the football with their hands, which was shocking that Georgia didn't know how to last year. I think with C.J. Daniels, the guy that came in from LSU, he was at Liberty first. He was a baller at Liberty, kind of flamed out at LSU last year. He's in. You got Josiah Trader. I believe he's a returner. And then you got Keelan Marion, who's been to like 7 different places, but he was pretty good at BYU last year. I think they're going to have some success against Notre Dame because I think Shannon Dawson is going to be able to scheme these guys up. But like Duska said, they have the best offensive line in the ACC by far, in my opinion. They got a guy, James Brockermeyer. He's their center. He's a TCU, and before that, he was at Bama. So he's been around. He'll be a day one starter for them from game one, and I think they'll have a great success there. I think their D line is very underrated. I mean, Ruben Bain, he is a star, and I didn't like Miami's defense last year, but he was one of the only things that was working consistently for them. I think their defense and the new guys they brought in with that new scheme will be able to put pressure on C.J. Carr, which if the writing's kind of on the wall, it took him all of fall camp and all of spring to win the job, and it was like they were begging him to win the job, and he still couldn't do it until the bell rung. So I don't think that they're sold on him necessarily as a guy that's going to light it up from day one, which I don't think they were expecting that, obviously. So I think he's going to definitely have some struggles in game one. And I'm suspecting that Miami's defense is able to be somewhat formidable, and Beck will be able to hit some guys in some shots after I think they're going to be a very run-heavy offense this year compared to last year. And I think it's going to be a really good game, and I think it's probably going to be close, and I think Miami's going to score with probably 5 minutes left to put it to 2 scores and put the dagger in Notre Dame's season. Well, Notre Dame's game, because their season won't be over, but
No.
that's just why I'm leading.
Yeah. I didn't really have a feel, and I wanted to see what you guys were saying about this game until I kind of gave mine. Yeah, I think Miami wins this game outright. So yeah, I guess that's what I feel. The reasoning, quarterback play, running the football. Now I'm skeptical of Miami's receivers. Not that I don't think they can get it done. It's just they haven't been as productive as like the playmakers that Notre Dame has. But I do think the guy delivering the football is a big deal. Yeah, I also had Markel Bell at tackle. I read a bunch about that. He's just a road grader, just huge mammoth of a human. So I like Miami in this game. I think Mario Cristobal, we've been waiting to see what echelon of coach he's in. And if he goes, I think it'd be an interesting storyline, like the Miami Clemson, if that ended up being a ACC championship game. Because although like some of us, I think I predicted Georgia Tech maybe, or some of us like predicted, just a random ACC team, maybe like a Louisville getting in there. Everybody is probably unanimously agrees that Miami was like the second best roster in the ACC. It'd be a huge weekend. Let's just say this. It'd be a huge weekend.
That would be auto boots.
Dude, huge weekend. Yeah, in Charlotte.
Yeah. Auto boots.
Huge weekend for the ACC if they could get the Miami game and the Clemson game. That would be so massive. You beat two of the best teams in the country, one from the SEC. So, yeah, I like Miami here. I like Miami here in a spot where I just think it's going to be a little more high scoring. Arch, the reasoning is I think Beck gets going early, and then it's like Notre Dame's forced to score points, and I think they will. I think Notre Dame will do it. They'll find a way to get Jeremiah Love going. They'll find a way to put the ball in the playmakers' hands. And, dude, I'm telling you, Malachi Fields, he torched William & Mary in the film I watched last year, preparing for William & Mary. He's a fade ball connoisseur, so that's going to be really tough for Miami's DBs to play with that. But yeah, those are some fun. Those are like 3 of the biggest games that on the slate. I guess we'll get into Sam's Polo next. And Sam's Polo says Cox on it, spelled COCK with a cursive S. Is that a cursive X? Oh, it says Carolina.
It says Carolina.
Not Cox.
I don't think they're like legally allowed to make polos.
You got me a gift that
Cox
says I have a hat that says Cox on it. It's pretty nice.
I would get a golf shirt, but I don't think like Lululemon is going to make a golf shirt that says Cox.
Oh, that's Lululemon.
Yeah,
that's bougie.
We have a partnership with them.
Got you. Nice. Yeah, that we'll run their ads after this. But Alabama's a 13 and I mean, sorry, Florida State. I mean, sorry guys. South Carolina's an 8-point favorite against Virginia Tech. How annoying is it that this game's at fucking Mercedes-Benz Field
Dude,
Stadium? The corporate ass. We have Sandman and we've got Sandstorm. We can't get either one.
it's not
Are
even
we
that. Like
fucking serious?
it would have been awesome to play this game at Virginia Tech, like Beamer making a return to
Oh,
V Tech with his dad that basically built the place. Like, oh, it's so annoying. It could have been an awesome home and home, an awesome home and home.
dude.
But we're in Atlanta. Yeah, so it's gonna be I wish this I think it will get talked about a little bit more on the weekend, but it's such an awesome storyline. Beamer playing against Virginia Tech, team that he grew up with, coached for, and his dad obviously built them. So it's going to be a cool game. I'm looking at the defense to be the X factor for South Carolina in this game. I'm really excited to see how guys are going to fill in those roles, especially on the front. I'm looking at Brian Thomas Jr., who's going to take the brunt of Kyle Kennard's snaps on defensive end. Will he be able to emerge as the Robin to Dylan Stewart, or would it be like a Desmond Mizulo, who is a junior? He's really good too. So it's going to be fun to watch how they kind of handle that other side of the defensive line.
Sam, question.
Um, yeah,
Is Rasul Faison playing?
dude. That's another. It's similar to. Do you remember the UNC receiver
Yes.
2 years ago?
Yes.
I think that's what's going to end up happening. Like they are
Like three
still
games
no
in.
decision, but he's practicing. So say on like Wednesday, if the NCAA is like, yeah, he can play, he'll play because he has been practicing with them, but there's still no decision. And they blocked a kid the last week with basically the same thing as Bayesian, which was bad news for him. So we'll see. But either way, that's a position of surplus for South Carolina. I'm looking at Matthew Fuller and Oscar Adaway to step up and take the brunt of the backfield. So I'm not really worried about whether or not Fajon. I'm excited to see this defense, and I think this secondary is going to be elite. You have DQ Smith, Ricard Swain, Judge Clear, three of the headliners on that group. That I think is going to be the most elite group on this
Jalen
defense.
Kilgore. Jalen Kilgore.
Yeah, Jalen Kilgore.
That nickel.
So that group is going to be fun, like really fun, and I think people are going to see on Sunday how elite this group is.
You think the
I'm
Cox
not.
cover?
I don't know that I'm weary about their spread just because of how South Carolina's historically started very slow. You've
Old
seen it
Dominion.
Old Dominion last year, UNC the year before. But I mean, I just think South Carolina's just talent will be the factor in this game. I think Lenoris will do what he has to do. It's going to be interesting to see how him and Mike Schuler are working together. That's a lot of what the new OC was the old OC at the Panthers, and worked with Cam Newton. So that's going to be fun. But what's going to help Lenoris is that he was there last year. So yeah, and then the receivers are going to be another cool thing to see. Who's going to emerge as that wide receiver one? Is it going to be Nick Harbor? Is it going to be Brown? Is it going to be Mazio Bennett? So we'll see. But I like South Carolina. I like them probably 31-17. I think a game that the outcome's really not in doubt. But what say you guys?
I mean, that's pretty cogent Cox analysis there. I would kind of just back you up and agree with everything you said. And I think they're just going to out talent Virginia Tech. Maybe there could be some early mishaps. It's always a factor in these week one games, but I think they should be able to handle everything Virginia Tech has pretty handily.
Yeah, I think South Carolina's gonna win this game. I think it'll be closer than what you predicted. Solely because just the way like you said, South Carolina with the slow starts. I think Virginia Tech has something to kind of prove this year. And if Brent Pry can't get these guys going for a week one game versus South Carolina, where they need to show they're somewhat competitive, like he's going to be fired because that's going to set the tone for the rest of the season. One thing when I was looking at Virginia Tech a lot, like preseason, they fired their both their coordinators and they hired Philip Montgomery as their OC, who was the OC for Robert Griffin III at Baylor. And Kyron Drones, I'm not saying he's at all like Robert Griffin III. He is a very mobile quarterback that it's a dual threat that does a lot with his legs too, which I think will be interesting to see because I think that'll give South Carolina some troubles. And I think they'll be somewhat competitive in this game. I think South Carolina wins, but I think it's probably going to be a one-score game. It's going to be very like a gritty game that doesn't like it's not a bad reflection of South Carolina, but it's a reflection like, okay, Virginia Tech is somewhat going to be decent this year and they're going to like put up fights in their games. So that's what I think is going to happen in this game.
Yeah, what I wrote down that it might be a tougher game than some give it credit for. It's a tough non-conference game from just a really gritty squad, a Brent Pry led team, new defensive coordinator Chris Marv. Um, I read so to like prepare for this, I reread the Arch Madness Virginia Tech 6.5 over, and Arch was basically like, I don't love this, but I like it enough to put a unit on it. And I'm pretty much in agreement with what Virginia Tech is. They're Kyron Drones, like he's gonna be up, he's gonna be down, but he is a playmaker, good leader. Um, they've got their dude young safeties and corners, which I think like Lenore gives them hell. But they did get two edge rushers, James Jochum from Eastern Michigan and Ben Bell from Texas State. So they got kind of two huge production G5 edges. Um, I don't think that's going to be enough for to stop the Cox. I kind of like if I was to Sam, if I was to predict, I think Nick Harbor's going to be the wide receiver one, and
I
I do
agree.
kind of like Jared Brown's like a savvy,
He's
can
good.
play a lot of different positions. Like he might be like a 580, 600-yard receiver. He's like a coastal guy. He was pretty good at coastal like 2 years ago. He was decent for you guys last year. We'll see what ends up happening with that, but I do like South Carolina in that game. I don't think they cover though.
And it's just one of those games where like you just win and get out of there and move
Yep,
on.
yep, I agree with that.
I don't the score. I don't care if they win by one on a walk off, whatever. Just go to the next.
Yeah, and then another team, like sticking in the ACC, like we were talking about Virginia Tech. I think a Virginia Tech team ish like that's like Virginia Tech in the fact that like I think they're hovering around 6 to 8 wins. Is Florida State University, anchored by Gus Malzahn and Tommy Castellanos coming in from uh, BC. I think it's going to be an electric duo, also a turnover prone duo. And I think against Alabama, that's going to be a death sentence. But I think in the ACC, they could catch a couple teams and also get got by a couple teams because of that. Um, they've got Darrell Jackson Jr. at edge, Florida State, but they are a 13.5 point underdog to Alabama. Alabama, they get Isaiah Horton from the portal, a receiver from Miami. They already have Jeremy Bernard and Ryan Williams. They have a stout offensive line, Caden Proctor, Cam Dewberry. Um, I'm sure Duska can talk more about like the in depth of the films that they have. Ty Simpson, again, Will Langford's a believer. I'm also a believer in Ty Simpson. Jam Miller, I'd love to see them run the ball more effectively this year. And then on defense, Deontay Lawson at linebacker is one of the best linebackers in the country. They also have Keon Sabb at safety. And then I think a sneaky corner, they got a Utah transfer. He was a freshman last year named Cam Calhoun, who was really good, twitchy, athletic, long corner. Um, I do like Alabama and what they've got going on this year, and I think they cover, and I think Tommy Castellanos. I think we're going to see some bright spots at some point. I don't know if it's going to be during this game. What say you guys?
I actually like Florida State to cover in this game. I think that I think it's another just to go off topic real quick. An amazing storyline weekend with all these games, and another cool storyline. Florida State, obviously, after a tragic last season, brand new stadium. That's the 3:30 game, correct?
No
I
idea.
think it's 3:30.
I think so.
Anyway, but I think the crowd will be great. It's going to be really fun. But what will be interesting to see, like if I'm Florida State and you win the toss, I'm taking the ball, and even if you don't score, just get to the 50 or something. Try to sustain a little bit of the drives. I think Bama wins, but I think that it could be one of those games where Florida State scores late to cover, like another one of those outcomes never in doubt. But I do think they're going to put up a little bit more of a fight than people are giving them credit for right now, just based on I think they're a little bit deflated from last year, like betting wise. I think the line should be around like 10 instead of 13.5. So I'm gonna lean Florida State spread, but yeah, Bama will win the game.
Yeah, I'm gonna say kind of go off that. I think either Bama beats them by like 45, or Florida State wins or like loses by like a score. I don't see this. It's just it's a very polarizing game because you don't know what you're going to get from Alabama. Like they have the talent. They're probably I think they would probably be the most talented team in the country, top to bottom. I think some recruit like the blue chip ratings and all that. I think they're like number 1 or 2. I like Ty Simpson a lot. Not a huge fan of Castellanos. Don't think he's been that good at any of his stops, but a little Malzahn gimmicky offense that kind of works with some of these mobile quarterbacks. I could see it working for him. Some of their weapons are going to be fine. You just don't know what you're going to get for Florida State. I just don't think I can trust them to have any faith in them until I see it this year, because last year was pathetic in every sense. So I'm going to say Bama wins this game. I think I'm going to go ahead and say they win by like 21 plus.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to back up. I think Alabama covers pretty easily in this one. I'm excited to see. It's year 2 of DeBoer. He's got Ryan Grubb back at his side. I think we talk about regression to the mean. I think Florida State will be improved this year. I mean, it would be hard not to be. I'd rather have Castellanos. Sorry, I'm used to saying Castellanos. But I'd rather have Castellanos at quarterback than DJU for sure.
DJU
So
was balling for the Chargers yesterday. I don't know if anybody saw
Yeah,
that.
he had an absolute steed just for a touchdown. It was
was
pretty
his dad
impressive.
tweeting?
No, but he
No?
probably.
But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to watch this Alabama offense go to work. You talked about Caden Proctor, Cam Dewberry. They also have Parker Brailsford, who's probably a top 4 or 5 center in the country. I just think that this team's loaded and they started off rolling. But I hope Florida State, they put up a fight, give us a somewhat of a game, and that they'll definitely be better this year, but probably not in this one.
To what degree?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Listen, I want to go to some of the other games that we're going to see next week. Just keep your eye on. We got Boise USF in kind of a huge G5 12 seed game.
Massive G5.
Massive G5 12 seed game. Boise's a 6.5-point favorite. The game's being played at Raymond James Stadium in beautiful Tampa, Florida. This seems like an Arch Sperry knowledge drop. Let's hear it.
Yeah. I guess I'll go first. I think the most interesting part of this game is that it kicks off at 5:30, which if you know anything about the South, it is going to be hot as hell. It is going – and USF is wearing their all-black uniforms. They've already announced it. I love Alex Golish. Love what he's done at USF. I mean, he has his team ready for every single big game. A lot of these G5 coaches mail it in when they're playing these big programs. They just like, we don't care. We're going to lose anyway. For 3 years ago in his first year there, he had Bama on the brink in the rain. They won by like 7 points when they had the Notre Dame, Tyler Bucknell or whoever, that was horrendous for Bama. You had him fighting there. You had 2 years ago, last year, they went to Bryant Denny, and they went toe-to-toe with him for 3 quarters again, and the score was like 30 points or whatever. They scored like 3 times late. This guy has his team ready for every single game that he's had. Huge fan of him. I love their quarterback, Byron Brown. He broke his leg last year, and then it was the weirdest. It was like a Cam Rising type of injury report because they'd say he was questionable every single game after like the 6 weeks, and he never played the rest of the season. And then he was supposed to start in their bowl game, and then something happened, which was fine because you don't want to start a guy in the bowl game that could get hurt again when you're playing in the bowl on Christmas Eve in Hawaii. It does not matter. I think it'll be interesting to see
Boise Bowl.
Yeah, or something. I think it'll be interesting to see Boise, their identity without Jeanty, because their quarterback Maddox Madsen, he was fine. He was serviceable. This the prototypical game manager. He had a much easier time when they were having 9-man boxes to stop Ashton Jeanty. You lose him. You still got Siri Gaines in there and another one of their running backs. I mean, they always have a guy that's going to be good. Never one anyone that's going to be like Jeanty. I think it'll be interesting to see 5:30 kickoff from a team from Boise, Idaho, coming down to South Florida. Give me the Bulls, and this goes to correlation with them to predict them to make the playoffs, like I had in our first episode. I think statement game lets everybody in America know that USF's back, and lets Navy know up in Annapolis that it's going to be a two-man race for the conference this year.
Yeah, to bounce off that, I think this is the most exciting game that Thursday night. There's the Cincinnati game as well as the Colorado Georgia Tech. But I think this game's awesome because of the implications down the road with that 12th G5 spot. On the Byron Brown, he was in 2023, he had 3,200 passing yards, 26 touchdowns, 11 picks, and 800 rushing yards. So this guy's a beast. He's a baller. I was going to point out how they went toe to toe with Bama 2 years in a row and obviously get up for these big games. I think they're going to be up. Raymond James will be buzzing Thursday night. Is it 5:30 Florida Eastern time or Central time? All right. So I'll have to catch the first quarter. I'll have to catch the first quarter from the office. But yeah, I'm giving the Bulls too as they start their collision course with Navy in the AAC. And yeah, I think that this quarterback for Boise had a lot more success because they were playing 8 and 9 man boxes every game.
There's no other analysis I can give. Good job, fellas. Hey, we'll go down to the Nebraska-Cincy game. Josh Pate's Nebraska Cornhuskers are 6.5-point favorites on Cincy. Arch, I also want you to take this game.
Yeah, so you got two programs that with Scott Satterfield at Cincy that's just been like just the definition of just in the Big 12 for like ever since they've joined. You got Nebraska that is the kings of underachieving and overhypeness every year. So you're gonna see which narrative prevails. Nebraska got Rayola. They got tons of returning production. They got Dane Key from Kentucky. He was a guy that Georgia wanted in the portal. He's a receiver. He's gonna be a star. He's good. You got a good defense. Plays tough. It was never about the defense last year though. Their offense at times was just lethargic when they lost to Illinois. It's going to be a good game. For Cincinnati, you got I believe his name is Deontay Corleone. He's a D tackle. He is a star that probably like nobody knows about. He is one of the best defensive tackles in America. On offense, they're led by Brendan Sorsby, which is he is a very entertaining quarterback. He's like John Mateer light. Like he plays like him, just not as good as him. So I think this will be an interesting game. Weird that the spread is only 6 because if you would have told me Nebraska and Cincy were opening up in Arrowhead, I would have said it was probably Nebraska minus like 10 at least. So I don't know. It's weird. I'm going to give the edge to Nebraska here. I think they're going to beat them. But I think it will definitely be an interesting game to see. It's going to be a litmus test for them because if they play around with Cincinnati and they win by 1 score, I don't think it really validates anything. But I think if they win by more, like if it's like a true dominance, then I'm going to be more inclined to believe Nebraska has what it takes in year 3 for Rule. But until I see it, I'm not going to believe it. So I guess I'm going to go Nebraska to win, but don't have any conviction with it. So Sperry, you want to piggyback off that?
Yeah, I was going to say, just to keep it quick, I think that this game for Nebraska is the score does mean a lot, like for how good they are. If they roll them and win by 14-20, then yes, they're here. If not, then I'm not sold on them either. I think I need to see Rayola really step up in a game that he should have his way against Cincinnati. So, yeah, I'm going to go Nebraska spread here as well.
The game that stands out to me from last year when I think about Nebraska is the Ohio State game where Ohio State was just asking them to win, and they just couldn't produce anything offensively. You mentioned the offensive struggles last year, Arch. So it's going to come down to that, and if there's any improvement in that area, I think they should be able to beat Cincinnati. But like Sam said, the score is going to be important, and seeing the difference in this offense is huge.
Yeah, I got nothing more than that. I think Nebraska probably wins. Cincy just has they've been middling in the Big 12, but they were really good in the AAC. Used to give Navy some battles, but they just haven't elevated to the level of athlete that's needed to compete in the Big 12 yet. Not yet. Auburn-Baylor. Auburn is a 2.5-point favorite. I'm actually taking Auburn in this game. The reason is Baylor is going to have to try to run with Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton Jr. I don't think they can do it. I think Eric Singleton Jr. is a Georgia Tech transfer. He's got elite twitch, track guy, kind of gimmicky. They ran a ton of jet sweeps with him at Georgia Tech. I think Georgia Tech's going to miss him severely. He runs by people. There's a ton of clips of him just running post goes. He runs like a good teams have to play 10 yards off of him, and then he runs like 8-yard hitches and steals. And then you have Cam Coleman, who I think's the second best receiver in the country behind Jeremiah Smith, just in terms of everything. He's like Jeremiah Smith light kind of. I just think that's going to be really hard for Baylor to stop. Now that also means with that, I'm believing in Jackson Arnold, and I'm choosing to believe that he's going to deliver the football. But I do think Auburn's going to be able to provide him with time to deliver that football, and I do have Auburn in that game. What say you guys?
I can go. I have like no clue for this game. I'm really excited to see um, how Jackson Arnold's going to operate. I have like no feel on who I think's going to win. I'm a big fan of Sawyer Robertson though, and it's going to be cool to see their new kind of revamped receiver room. They have three transfers: Cole Wilson, Lewis Brown, and Kobe Prentice from Bama. So that's going to be interesting to see this Baylor offense. Now, what scares me is the Baylor defense and how they're going to keep up with Auburn's receivers, who I think are going to be too much, and Auburn is just going to out athlete them down the stretch. Should be a good game. And then I think Auburn, just overall talent, will prevail here in the fourth quarter. Probably like a 35-20, 24 type game. I think Auburn might score late to put the dagger in.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Auburn too. I think they should be able to cover the 2.5. I think they just have a little more talent offensively. It's gonna come down to some Jackson Arnold moments, but I think fresh start. I'll give them a chance in this first week, and I'll take Auburn.
I am going to go with the Baylor Bears in this game. They're in my Big 12 title game. Very bullish on them this year. I love Sawyer Robertson. After they started him after like the third or fourth game last year and took out Daquan Finn, who was a Toledo transfer. Now he's in Miami, Ohio. Their offense just elevated completely. It just changed for them. Bryson Washington's as a running back. He is a star. He is very good. They got Michael Trigg at tight end, who's been at USC. He was in the Jackson Dart to Ole Miss package from USC in like 2020. Not sure how he's still playing college football, but he's there. Got some weapons. I am choosing to believe that Baylor's secondary will not be as atrocious as it was last year, because if it's anything worse, if it's anything like they were last year, Cam Coleman might have 500 receiving yards in this game. But one guy that I do like for Baylor, it's going to be Dave Aranda calling plays for the second straight year for their defense. They got a guy named Calvin Simpson Hunt, an Ohio State corner transfer that's like 6'3". He's pretty tall, lanky. He is going to be the X factor if Baylor wins this football game, I think, because of his ability to cover their number one receiver just by himself for Auburn. Because if you're going to if you're double teaming, because I don't know who their one is going to be, either Cam Coleman or it's going to be Singleton.
Cam Coleman's like the X. He's the
1A, 1B.
He's the X,
Yeah.
And then Singleton's probably will play like F or W, whatever you call that, like the slot position.
Mm-hmm. If you have to use two people to cover either of those guys like consistently throughout that game, you are going to lose that football game. So I think if you have a guy like Calvin Simpson Hunt that steps in, they got a lot of transfers in their secondary. A lot of guys. There's a guy from Nebraska or Northwestern named Devin Turner that was pretty good. Oregon transfer, I forget his name. They're going to be good. So I'm choosing to believe in Baylor's defense, and also in Waco on a Friday night. It'll get rowdy, and I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. And I think Baylor's going to edge them because I think their quarterback play will be the difference in this game compared to Jackson Arnold, which is guaranteed to have at least 2 turnovers or plays where you're just like, what in the world are you doing?
Hey, next game, we got Georgia Tech versus Colorado. Georgia Tech is only favored by 4 points. Maybe Vegas knows something. I would think Tech's maybe a touchdown to an 8-point favorite. I am very intrigued at the Caden Salter versus Haynes King quarterback duel. They're both like kind of the same player in a way. Like they can run the ball. They're physical specimens. They get hot and cold throwing the football. Both of them, their throwing motions are like not the prettiest thing you ever see. But they're talented football players. I just wonder what we get in that game is the Dion Colorado. Is this like an 8-win Colorado team or is this like a 3-win Colorado team? Arch, are you more on the 8 or the 3-win side?
I would lean closer to 8, but I don't think they're going to. I don't think they're going to be a 3-win team. I sure as heck don't think they're going to be an 8-win team. I think they're going to be a perfect 6-6 or 7-5 this year.
Yep.
Yeah, like the quarterback situation, like you said for this game, it's basically just like a running back off. It's just like Haynes King is just like he is just perfectly average at throwing the football, nothing more, nothing less. But he makes up for that because he is a tough son of a gun, and he'll run through your face. Caden Salter, pretty bad at Liberty last year. Like that's kind of why Liberty was pretty bad in general. Like didn't meet expectations. He was not great throwing the football. And I think there were some injuries there. Folsom Field's definitely going to be a tough place to play for a team like Georgia Tech to go up there to Colorado in the altitude on Friday night. So I think that kind of could influence that line for Vegas because, I mean, that's probably going to be like a 3.
I just like Brett Key getting his
I don't-
boys ready to play football.
I don't
I think the
understand
home
how
field
it's
advantage
4.
is baked into the line. It's
Yeah.
it's going to be like a touchdown favorite at home,
Got
which makes
Okay.
sense.
Okay.
I think if it was at home for Tech, it'd be like a 9 point because I think that home field is going to be worth like the full 3 for Colorado because that altitude. I don't really have a true feel in this game because I feel like Georgia Tech can either, like I was telling Sam last week, I think Georgia Tech can either beat them by like 25 and you're just like, all right, Georgia Tech's here this year, or you could see them lose and you're just like, oh, that's Georgia Tech we know. So I don't have a feel. I think, like you said with Auburn, they desperately will miss Malachi Singleton this year. I think that's Eric Singleton. Sorry,
Yeah.
I
get you.
Yeah, I think they'll miss him. They did get a guy from FIU in, Devin Rivers, I believe his name is. Good receiver. I think they're going to miss him. I think I'm going to go to Georgia Tech to win this game, but don't really have a true feel.
Yeah, we were talking about this week. I think that this is going to be a Brett Key, got his guys ready to go and just impose their will on Colorado for 4 quarters and just just run them into like submission. Where like Colorado's quitting, they're just getting just completely dominated on the line of scrimmage, and Georgia Tech wins like 24-10, but like it was never close.
This might be a recruiting state type of game, like where you just look at Georgia Tech and you see we just got a bunch of Georgia kids and we're just gonna, like you're saying, Sam, like just run the football and like just out physical you. And Colorado is like just pulling kids from all over the place, which they have twitchy athletes, but who knows what their front seven is going to look like year in and year out. There's usually a lot of turnover in Colorado. Dusko, I'm curious to see what your feel on this game is.
I mean, I think we're all pretty high on Georgia Tech this year. I think this is a spot where they should win if they're going to be as good as some of us think they will be. I think you guys have mentioned Brent Key. Georgia Tech always shows up for these big games. I think the first game of the season on the road, this is kind of a good spot for them and a game they usually show up ready to go. I love their ground game. They're replacing a little bit of experience on the offensive line. It's going to be a little fresher than last year, but I mean this ground game is pretty consistent, and I think they'll be able to carry that over. And you mentioned the turnover for Colorado. I think that's a disadvantage in game 1, seeing how all your new players gel together. I like Jordan Seaton, their left tackle. He started as a true freshman last year. I think that protection could be improved from what you saw in the Shadur years, but I would generally lean towards. I think Brent Key's just a better coach than Dion, and they show up for the moment, and I think they win.
Guys, I want to get your quick thoughts on one game. We're all pretty high on Utah, as like we've seen. I've got them in my Big 12 championship. Arch has them winning the Big 12. Does somebody else have Utah in their Big 12 championship? No, just me and you. Okay. Well, so we're high on Utah. They are at UCLA week 1, and you would check mark that as a win, looking at their schedule. But they are at UCLA. You have Nico. You have Javian Thomas, who's their running back, who's pretty damn good. You've got a couple defensive players on UCLA. Ben Perry, Sam's cousin, senior safety. Yeah, Ben Perry out there working for UCLA. One thing I do like about Utah this year, as I kind of I gave my Polynesian tackle take early so I could set this up. They're anchored by tackles Spencer Fano and Caleb Lamu. So any Famu and Lamu, I am all in on those two guys at tackle. But in all seriousness, Devin Dampier, I'm really hoping he plays well. I just want to see Utah play well in this football game to like kind of give myself a little vindication, a little confidence going in because I don't think UCLA is going to be a complete slouch. Like Deshaun Foster, whatever you think of him as a head coach, he's in year 2. He's probably got better quarterback play than he did last year. And then one thing, Caden Martinez texted me and he's annoyed that the pod hasn't mentioned linebacker play enough. Like, you know how he just A-gap warrior.
Mr.
So
A-gap.
Mr. A-gap. So I will say Utah has two of the best. They might have one of the top 7 linebacker duos in the country with Landon Barton and Lavani Damuni playing linebacker. They have tons of career tackles. So I just like to keep an eye on that game, and I wonder like how frisky Nico is. Although I'm not like a huge Nico guy,
I think this is the best game that nobody's talking about,
really.
just because of seeing Nico at home in their
Yep,
first game against Utah. It's going to be a little dessert for Saturday. The game's at 10 p.m.
that is dessert.
Um, so you got a little Pac-12 at night vibes. But yeah, it's going to be cool. Good game, good storylines. I'm like very excited to watch this game and see what Nico looks like at UCLA in the Rose Bowl stadium too. So I mean, the crowd won't be a factor, but just a really cool game. I'm very excited for.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about Fanu, Chuck. I think he was like PFF's highest graded tackle. I maybe in just run blocking, but I
What
mean,
about Lamu?
Fanu and Lamu.
Dude,
But
how amazing is that?
but I mean, I'm really excited to see him play, see what he's able to put on tape this last year, see if he can solidify himself as a first round guy. Um, Nico, I just am against everything that happened in that situation, and it's hard for me to kind of get behind a team that's led by someone that would do that
The
or
pod does not support entitlement like that.
he would put his teammates in a situation like he was trying to, and I just hate the way that whole situation played out. So it's kind of a fade UCLA type of deal for me. So I'm excited to see what Utah brings, and I think Utah takes it.
Yeah, I think Utah will. I think they are going to beat them by 3 scores. I'm not a Nico guy at all. I hate everything that he did. I hate Tennessee, and I still I found myself rooting for them during that, and that's the clear sign that I hate that guy. So don't like him. Utah runs a 4-2-5 with Morgan Scaley. He's been their D coordinator for a while, and he's probably going to be the guy that just takes over for Whittingham next year whenever he retires. Nico is horrendous against the 4-2-5. Few teams in the SEC run it, and he's done very bad against it. I think they're going to show some tough looks that really make him see like a deer in headlights, and I think he'll turn the ball over a few times. I think Utah's O-line will impose their will on UCLA's soft defensive front from the Big Ten. And I think that Devin Dampier has the breakout game because, I mean, I had him doing the Heisman, so it's like he's got to step up sometime, and I think he's going to do it in game 1, get a hot start.
Arch, did you know he had
through.
he had 19 rushing touchdowns last year? 19.
He's a true running back. He forced 54 missed tackles last season.
That is unbelievable.
That's huge for Heisman.
He's fun to watch. He's going to be so fun to watch.
He missed. He was the second. He was the second person in the country in missed tackles, only behind Gene T. And Gene T had like 130, and he had 54, and he was the next best. So it's like
pretty good
running back, but
running back moment.
When we're running the RPO like that Tim Beck or Jason Beck, their OC does now, well, he's gonna. I mean, it's gonna start going.
And it's death taxes and like Utah football playing defense. So you're getting like just above average.
That's why I'm confident they're just gonna impose their will on Nico. So
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so too. Hey, we're gonna get into our segment where we are finding sleepers on the slate. Here's the one I want to start with just to start us off. Washington State is no longer a Power 4 team, but they're only a 10.5-point favorite over Idaho. Idaho is one of the best FCS teams in the country. led by a gunslinger at quarterback. This is the game I found on the slate that I think could go the FCS way. Because Montana State plays Oregon. I don't see that happening.
I don't hate
I
that.
kind of like that pick. We talked about the Big Sky earlier, how they just have dudes in that conference, and I mean it's always a physical test when you play one of those teams. So you never know how that could play out. So I don't hate that.
But 10.5, like Bama's a 14-point
Yeah.
favorite, you know? Like they're
Washington
giving.
State is also going to be a corpse this year. So
Yeah.
I wonder is who's starting for them? Because Pitt had a kid like I played against in high school, Julian Duggar. He was like he transferred there. I don't know if he's like the projected starter or not. Could we get comms on?
their quarterback is going to be Zevi Eckhouse. Oh, what? Or for Washington State?
Yeah,
Their quarterback's going to be the guy that played in their bowl game. He's a Bryant transfer. He's a dog. He played pretty well
Really?
against Syracuse, but
oh, okay.
they lost their coach to Wake Forest. They lost like anybody worth a salt to Wake Forest, or in their case, Mateer to Oklahoma with their OC.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ben
I can
Arbuckle.
see that happening.
Yeah.
I got.
Oh.
Oh, go ahead, Arch.
I was going to say mine is going to be a Thursday night game.
Ooh.
I think Buffalo is going to upset Minnesota in week 1.
Spicy.
18-point favorite. I like Buffalo. Death Taxes and Buffalo defense with Pete Lembo. Minnesota just lost their DC to Miami. So, yeah, taking a flyer on that. Well, I think that they got the perfect storm brewing. Minnesota's going to be pretty dreadful on offense. They do have a star running back in Darius Taylor, but I think Buffalo can minimize that. Make some plays, force some turnovers and some havoc, and get out of there with a win.
I wish that I could take Duquesne over Pitt, but that's not going to happen. I got two.
Yeah.
Kind of backing up off Arch. It's the year of the MAC, and I got my eye on Miami of Ohio against Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin is horrible this year and are going to have a hard time. What I don't know if they're necessarily going to win, but I think that game's going to be closer than the 17-point spread. My prediction for my upset is going to be Toledo over Kentucky. I don't know if this necessarily just because of the schools, it would sound like an upset, but Kentucky's only 7-point favorites at home against Toledo, and they are my pick to win the MAC. So I'm going to ride with them to go into Lexington and beat Jack Mills' Kentucky Wildcats. Sorry, Jack.
Sorry, Jack.
All right, I got a bit of a long shot one, but I think this is going to be a fun physical game, and you never know with all of the external factors that you can attribute to this matchup. So I'm going to go with South Dakota traveling to Ames, Iowa to
That was
play
my next one. You stole it.
to play the Cyclones as they travel back from the Erlangen Classic. I think that there could be
Guys, sandwiched between the Iowa game. They play Iowa in 2 weeks.
Farmageddon in the Iowa Bowl.
Farmageddon, South Dakota, Iowa.
Cyclops
This could
Bowl,
be
what's it
the Cyhawk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Duska, but also scheduling like advantage.
Yeah, no, scheduling huge factor. There's a lot of external factors that weigh in. It's a 15.5-point spread, but kind of like we talked about with the Big Sky, if you play a Missouri Valley team, you just it's just going to be a trenches battle. And we saw a bit of struggles from Iowa State getting going on the ground to start yesterday. I think they picked it up definitely towards the end of the game. They started rolling ground game. They had a lot of big conversions. They were able to run the ball pretty successfully in the second half. But when you play these Missouri Valley teams, it's always a dogfight. And the especially the Dakota teams, they're always seasoned and they're always just going to have a sneaky some receiver who is going to go for 1,600 yards a season.
Yeah, he grew up in like Ferris, Minnesota.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like,
so there's going to be a dude like that on the field, and there's a lot of external factors weighing down Iowa State. So you could take a flyer on that. You could that could be a good upset spot.
I'm also gonna watch. I wonder if my guy Micah Alejado is like gonna be able to play next week. He was literally on one leg for Hawaii, but I'm checking the Hawaii Arizona game. Like, let's see if Hawaii's a real wagon or if like Stanford's just that ass. Like, I guess we'll see about that. I'm just tracking it. I'm tracking what Hawaii does at Arizona because I know for a fact after reading the Arch Madness Substack, Arizona is not one of Archer's favorite teams. Maybe one of Archer's least favorite teams.
Mm.
You're not wrong. You are not wrong.
Does anybody else have a game other than that?
I think one that's going to be pretty.
Go
I
ahead.
think it's going to be pretty fun to watch is going to be Jacksonville State versus UCF. Jacksonville State's going to be an 18-point dog, and they lost Rich Rod and everybody to Dub V. UCF also just brought in Scott Frost, so I think that's just going to be like just a trash off, like a garbage game, and it's just going to be like I think it's going to be a disgusting game, and I think Jacksonville State can kind of keep it close. So I think that'll be one in the fourth quarter. You're like, oh wow, Scott Frost might lose his debut game to Jacksonville State with a new head coach. So that's one to keep an eye on.
Sam, you had one?
Yeah, I'm excited to see UTSA at Texas A&M. UTSA is always frisky, and I mean, if that game wasn't at night, I would actually think that that could be a little bit closer. I think A&M will roll, but a game to keep an eye on. Another one that I'm looking at too is Indiana and Old Dominion.
Ooh.
Old Dominion's frisky. They're always frisky in those early games. They beat Virginia Tech a couple years ago outright, and obviously we know what happened last year in Columbia. Just keep an eye on with all the noise surrounding Indiana, see how they do with high expectations. And then shameless plug, I will be boots at Pitt Duquesne. Who needs Texas Ohio State when you have Pitt Duquesne in the Perry Mill Bowl in downtown Pittsburgh? So shout out that the pod will be live at not the pod. I will be live at that game.
The pod will be boots at the game.
The pod will be boots, and we respect our smaller games.
Yeah.
The pass.
No, no.
Arch, any thoughts on the Thundering Herd traveling to Georgia?
Yeah, Georgia's going to beat them by like 70. This is a Marshall team that's there. Like they have 0 people returning. Their quarterback, I believe, is going to be Carlos Del Rio Wilson. He played in Georgia high school football. Trash, garbage. He's like on his 4th school now. He's not very good. Georgia's got something to prove this year. I think because we have so many of these receivers, they're going to leave Stockton in for a while so that he can get some in-game reps before we actually go to like the big names. I think Mike Bobo is going to everybody's been calling for his head. He's going to show the most like exotic stuff, I think, in game 1 and run up the score so like he can like shut up some of these fans that think that we just like can't score. I think the receivers are going to have a big day. I think final score prediction, I'm going to say we win 67-10. Oh, but one last thing for the Sperry's thing on UTSA. They returned 10 starters on offense, and A&M's defense was bad last year, like in pass coverage. And Elko said he's addressed that. That's why, I think that's going to be an interesting one because Owen McCown is their quarterback, and I think he's a gamer. So I like Sperry's pick there. That could be one you got to keep an eye on.
We've also got a military bowl going on week 1. We've got Virginia Military Institute versus the Naval Academy. And
that's a fraud military bowl.
Yeah, so fraud. But 30% of VMI grads go 30% of VMI grads go and serve our country. So it's like 30% versus 100%. VMI is in a load of trouble.
Yeah,
they're in for one. Yeah, they are in for one.
Should we talk Temple UMass?
One of my cousins who plays lacrosse at VMI. So shout out that kid. Brooks Challows.
Temple UMass said it on the first one. Smash spot for Temple with Casey Keeler. They go up to the Zoomass. Terrible program. First year in the MAC. They will mimic a MAC team that's not very good. They're probably one of the worst teams in
I just wanted to throw you a little softball.
In the FBS. Smash spot for Temple. Smash spot.
Go Owls.
Yeah. Go Owls. Hootie hoo.
Yeah, so we've pretty much covered what we've wanted to cover today. Does anybody have final thoughts on either week 0, week 1, or just crystal ball? You've got something on your mind, you need to spit it out.
I think I think I've said all I've had to say. I'm excited for this. Week 0 was pretty garbage in my opinion, just very underwhelming. So it didn't really scratch the itch. Thursday night though, when we're back full swing of college football, I think I'm excited. And yeah, I think it's going to be a great year at this pod. A lot of knowledge that we dropped. So thank you all for listening. If you are at like the hour and 50-minute mark at this point, so thank you. And yeah, I'm excited for the season.
If you've made it this far, you're somehow related to one of us. So thanks.
Yeah, I'll just
Yeah, I'm
piggyback off
pumped.
Arch. Oh, go ahead, Sam.
No, I'm just gonna say, stay with Arch. I'm pumped. Tomorrow morning's wake up's gonna be a lot easier than other Mondays. We're excited. We have a 6 slate of football in front of us. I said this on our when we were just chatting earlier. Shout out whoever does the scheduling for the NCAA because there's a lot of amazing games and we have it sprinkled throughout, so it's not too much to consume at one time. So we get to really maximize our viewership. I'm jacked up. Thank you all for the following on Instagram, triple digit followers. Keep an eye on the Instagram. We have some cool edits dropping here soon. And really big shout out to those who are still listening at the now, I think, 2 hours.
Probably like John Rottinghouse. So thanks, John.
Yeah, if you made it this far, drop your favorite old college quarterback so we know that you made it this far.
Yeah,
That's a good shout, Arch.
I like that, Arch. Great content.
But yeah, yesterday was just a nice little appetizer.
Yeah.
We'll really get into the meat and potatoes
Yeah.
next week. And the slates, this is one of the best first weeks that I can ever remember. And we get it all before corporate football takes over Sunday, Monday, Thursday.
True.
So,
but we won't
nice.
we won't be talking corporate football until the leaves turn orange.
Yeah, until November.
Yeah. But we're gonna weekly we will be talking lots of college football. And if you want us to preview a certain game,
yeah, we are for the people.
We're for the people.
Comment, DMs, just any like tech. I mean, everybody that knows, everyone that has our personal phone numbers.
Yeah,
you can just give us a call.
Yeah,
I think there was one unique viewer that we generated.
No, although we did have like an explosion on the insights and interactions with our first post. So we touched all 7 continents.
The amount of like,
let me check right now to see how many accounts.
The amount of like one of our high school friends who like not friends, like acquaintances that like DM'd it to like their group chat was like,
we have 74 shares.
I can't believe Charlie and Sam like fucking made a podcast with losers. Like that was probably some of the insights.
Get a hobby. You're probably unemployed.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought it was funny. I think it's just
podcast equipment should be more
though.
expensive, but this is the exception here.
No doubt. No doubt.
We're the exception, not the rule.
Yeah, we really are. I mean, but how many?
I just bugged out.
Yeah, you're good. How many pods talk Jack State UCF?
Not paid.
No, well, he's too corporate.
How many pods go into an in-depth analysis of USF Boise?
I don't know. That was pretty.
I don't know if you can find that anywhere else. Yeah.
No, that was like name dropping.
That was pretty great.
I don't even think Josh Pate knows where USF is. And it's in the damn name.
Oh, that's so good.
That's a great way to finish it.
Yeah, that's a great way to finish it. I guess we will. The thing about it is like we'll always be listening to you, Pate. So this is a good area to discuss what you say.
It's a safe space.
Yeah, safe space. We know we've made it when Pate hops on the pod. And all of the hate.
Should we just spam DM him like every day trying to get him to come on?
No.
Forward pass.
Let's let this organically happen.
He interacts on Twitter. Like if we were to like tag him in something, you probably would.
Harry, do you have the Twitter up by the way?
No, I can't.
You want to get a Twitter go? I feel like you're a good Twitter.
Yeah, I just have to. Yeah, we'll talk about this off the air about Twitter, but I just have to make sure it's separate from my other Twitter account.
Good. Yeah, good idea. Yeah. Although, honestly, I would back most of the things you tweet. So you're my favorite Twitter follow. So just to give you props. But
I haven't used Twitter much now that I can affect my
corporate Perry guys.
Corporate Sam.
Sad.
Yeah. Corporate. Are you scared of HR, bro?
Yeah.
No.
Sorry, we'll get you rolling again once.
HR's made it this far, probably.
Yeah.
HR is the only one listening to this.
Yeah,
2 hours in.
Yeah. Uh,
All
but
right,
yeah,
lads, that was great.
yeah. Hey, we'll stop the recording here. And thank you guys for tuning in. We will have another pod out next week discussing all the happenings from week 1. Thank you again, and we will see you next week.